The Grafton Monster, June 16, 1964 WV. Also known as the Headless Horror. Witness: Robert Cockrell. Date: Tuesday, June 16, 1964 at about 11 p.m. Location: Grafton, West Virginia. Investigators: Gray Barker, Rosemary Ellen Guiley. Story: on Tuesday, June 16, 1964 at around 11 p.m., a young journalist named Robert Cockrell was driving home at about 50 miles per hour on Riverside Drive along the Tygart River, when he reportedly saw a huge white thing standing on the right side of the road in a cleared-off section of grass near the riverbank. He said the creature seemed to have seal-like skin and no discernible head. It was purported to be 7 to 9 foot tall and 4 feet wide. Robert reportedly got two of his friends, Jim Mauser and Jerry Morse, to accompany him back to the sighting location. They searched along the riverbank for over an hour but found nothing. The grass where the creature had been seen was supposedly mashed down. They then heard a strange low whistling noise coming from the direction of the river, which seemed to follow them, though they couldn't see what was making the sound. Word soon spread and it became a monster hunting sensation. Robert told his news editor, and a small story entitled, "Teenage Monster Hunting Party's Latest Activity on Grafton Scene," was released in the Grafton Sentinel newspaper on June 18, 1964. Crowds of people went to the sighting area with weaponry and searched everywhere for the Grafton Monster. Over 20 of these searchers said they saw the creature, including at the nearby stone quarry. One teen even suggested that the monster might be an escaped polar bear. Police officers also purportedly searched the area but found nothing. Each of these supposed witnesses were reportedly questioned individually by Robert Cockrell. However, he never published the details of these supposed interviews. The newspaper then put out a second article entitled, "Monster Result of Spring Fever, Wild Imagination" on June 19, 1964, in which they dismissed the creature as a wildly imaginative story or a trick of the eye. They suggested that it could have been something else, such as someone pushing boxes with a handcart, that took on a weird shape in the darkness. The excitement eventually died down, but Cockrell reportedly continued his investigation. He contacted Clarksburg UFO researcher and prankster Gray Barker via letter on July 10, 1964, and exchanged correspondence with him about the case. Barker wrote up a rough draft article or radio script about the monster, which was later rediscovered in 1995 by Mark Hall in the Gray Barker archive. In 2012, Fortean researcher Rosemary Ellen Guiley released a book entitled Monster of West Virginia, which included a write-up of the Grafton Monster story based on the 1964 Cockrell's letter as the book's first chapter. Robert Cockrell's retraction. On April 14, 2014, an episode of the sensationalistic reality TV show Mountain Monsters, in which the crew searched for the Grafton Monster, aired on the Travel Channel. In response to the TV show publicity, Robert Cockrell himself penned a letter to the editor entry for the Mountain Statesman newspaper, formerly the Grafton Sentinel, published on April 23, 2014, entitled Requiem for a Monster, in which he retracted his own sighting, claiming it to be most likely a misidentification on his part. He claimed that what he saw in the dark was, as the Grafton Sentinel newspaper had previously suggested, likely a young boy named Tommy Peters who was purportedly often seen pedaling his bike loaded down with boxes along Riverside Drive. Seemingly distancing himself from the story, Cockrell claimed that everything else was all just the result of the town's rumor mill, despite he himself referring to it as monster, creature, and beast in his 1964 letter to Gray Barker, in which he still treated the case as an ongoing mystery that he reportedly believed in. Robert Cockrell in 2014 not only understandably expressed his distaste for the Mountain Monsters reality TV show, but also strangely claimed that the quotes found in Rosemary Ellen Guiley's chapter on the Grafton Monster, which come word for word directly from Cockrell's own 1964 signed letter, were never made. Cockrell also states that his reported follow-up investigations of the monster, as detailed within the 1964 letter to Barker and repeated by Rosemary in 2012, was somehow pure fiction. He ends his retraction stating clearly, "There is no Grafton Monster and there never was a Grafton Monster." Robert Cockrell refused to be interviewed about the Grafton Monster story in the years following and declined several open invitations to speak freely on the subject, including from local West Virginia author George Dudding, who later released a short book on the subject in 2019. On November 14, 2018, the video game Fallout 76, which was set in West Virginia, was released, which included the Grafton Monster as an enemy in the game and renewed interest in the story. On December 9, 2022, Robert Cockrell passed away at the age of 76. In June 2024, the 60th anniversary of the Grafton Monster legend, the first Grafton Monster Festival was held in the town of Grafton, West Virginia, which was organized by local bookstore owner Alicia Lyons. Description: white seal-skinned creature with no discernible head, 7 to 9 foot tall, 4 feet wide, standing near the riverbank. Low whistling sound heard in the area afterwards. Later retracted in 2014 as a misidentification. Sources: Teenage Monster Hunting Party's Latest Activity on Grafton Scene, The Grafton Sentinel, June 18, 1964, and Monster Result of Spring Fever, Wild Imagination, The Grafton Sentinel, June 19, 1964, from the Taylor County Public Library archives. Robert Cockrell and Gray Barker's July 1964 Letters from the Clarksburg-Harrison Public Library Archives. Monsters of West Virginia, 2012, by Rosemary Ellen Guiley. Chapter 1. Letter to Editor. Requiem for a Monster by Robert Cockrell to the Mountain Statesman, formerly the Grafton Sentinel, April 23, 2014, from the Taylor County Public Library Archives. The Grafton Monster, 2019, by George Detting. The Curious Case of the Grafton Monster by Daniel A. Reed of the Skeptical Inquirer, August 8, 2024.